Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Anastasiya Podcast. I'm coming to you guys a little bit late this week. It's literally Wednesday, February 18th, I think. And I had like a hit of inspiration of something I wanted to talk about on Monday. And then Tuesday, I don't want to say it was necessarily a challenging day, but the moms out there know motherhood is not linear. So it was one of those kinds of days. And during her nap time, like when I come on my podcast, I really don't mind sharing about where I'm at in life, what the reality looks like. I always want to make sure to kind of encompass whatever I'm talking about with like, it's not like this forever. Like, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, I guess what I mean. But there's also some times when like you're just not in the energy space or the headspace to want to come and like lift yourself up. And I think that's okay too. I wasn't necessarily sad or anything yesterday, but I want to share kind of where my mindset was at for like the beginning of this week. So something that we're just going to dive right into it. Something that I've been thinking about a lot is about how the past year of my life was survival mode. And there is this kind of coined phrase in motherhood. It's like, we are surviving, we are not thriving. And moms in similar seasons, like it's something that in your bones, you feel it for other women and you understand the sacrifice. And it's like a like cheers to you. And it's funny because even with the cheers to you, like so much of the past year, like I remember after I had Magnolia, I was like, yes, I can drink again. And like I was never even a big drinker. And then I very quickly learned like it's not even worth having one glass of wine because she never slept through the night. So it's like cheers of a water glass filled to other moms. But I was thinking about more of this concept of what the survival kind of really looked like for me. And something I want to say is like not all motherhood is created equally. And I didn't know that like walking into motherhood, I guess. But of course, it wouldn't be created equally, just like nothing in life is created equally. Like we're all people on earth having a human experience, but we're all having different experiences because we're born into different backgrounds. But that's the beauty of life, right? We're all having our own experience. And at the end of the day, like something that I believe about life is we get the opportunity to come to earth and it's your job to find your gifting. And then you find your gifting and you share that with people and you like share God's light. And then what do they always say? Like, life here is not eternal. Life in heaven is eternal. Like, that's the end goal. But again, we're people having human experiences. So the right now, the here feels so big because it's all we can, like, kind of, it's the only thing that's tangible for us. And that, like, ties into motherhood because right now, I feel so like in this season of motherhood. And for me, it's such a big feeling. Like, the past year was so big of just like motherhood, self-sacrifice, sacrifice, 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 like, coming home from the hospital, just even having the baby. In the hospital, Matt and I felt like we were on vacation. It, like, never really had to hit home because 'cause you're riding the high, like, first of all, you have, like, a huge endorphin, like, rush because you had your baby. Then you have family funneling in, and you're, like, so excited to show the baby. Then I think also for women, first-time moms, like, you're just like, "Whew, I got past birth," because you don't know what that's gonna be like because 'cause you've never done it before. Then when we were driving home, I was like, what?" And then when we came home, I was like, I returned to my house, but nothing was the same, and it was, like, heavy for me for a few days, and I literally just had to sit and hold Magnolia because I knew my mind was playing tricks on me to a degree, like, my mind wasn't playing tricks on me of, like, "Oh my god, I'm not happy," like, it was just it's so many things to process, but I knew chemically, like, biologically, holding your baby makes your hormones, like, operate in a rhythm and, like, what the baby releases, you take on and whatever. So I just knew that part of getting myself out of the funk I was in, I had to hold my baby. And I would just literally sit on the couch and I didn't move for days and I would just look at her and I could feel it working. And like, you grow this huge love for your baby and whatever. But the next shift was just like how hard the day to day was. Something I couldn't foresee was because I wasn't going back to my job. Like I didn't have a full-time job where that I was working Monday to Friday. I didn't spend the newborn phase being like, oh, well, in 2 months, I'm going back to work, or oh, in 3 months, I'm going back to work. My boss at the time, Sam, she made it very open ended for me, like you take all the time you need, etc. But I knew also when I was coming back, it was going to be in a smaller capacity. So, I rode that out. I just could not get my footing for the longest time. Some of the best footing I got in motherhood over the past year was when one of my friends, Ashley, like I think I was voice noting her because her daughter was not necessarily a great sleeper. And I was saying, like, dude, when does it get better? Because just getting your world rocked night after night, week after week, month after month, with no end in sight, you're just like, this has got to be a sick joke. And she's like, Anastasia, like motherhood is hard in itself. But then if you have a kid that doesn't sleep, it's a different kind of hard, and it just is what it is. And I literally remember the day that I just accepted Magnolia was not a good sleeper, and I had such a sense of freedom with it because it gave me permission to let go that I'm doing something wrong as the mom. Even though I'd read like all the books, done all the things, done all the routines, done all the schedules, tried everything, I basically just had to surrender to we're going to get through this one way or another, like every adult figures out how to sleep, etc. And I just had to buckle up for the bumpy ride. It was still my first time being a mom. There was so much to learn, but I feel like my brain still can't get over how I was just purely in survival mode for a year. And even now, like Magnolia's been better with her sleeping, knock on wood. But even now, like I know, she has molars come in. I'm not saying, oh, it's going to be the next thing. It's just, we'll see when we're like a month out, etc. Because we've never experienced that. I was thinking earlier today, I think maybe when I was doing my hair, about how like I had Magnolia when I was 33. So I've only been operating in this identity of mom for a year. And I'm like, when I'm 64, God willing, I will have been a mom longer than I was not a mom. So up until before I had Magnolia, my understanding and knowing of myself was for 33 years. Like who I was, like my likes, interests, things I leaned into, etc. Like 33 years of me, all to just shift so quickly. And whenever I'm like struggling with just the heart of motherhood, and the heart of motherhood is not like taking care of a baby. That's actually the easiest part. It's the mundane, like the same thing every day. That's the heart of motherhood because it's that thing that they say, like the days are long, but the years are short. Like I hear from moms all the time, like this season is so hard and it is survival, but then when you get out of it, you miss it. And it's because you draw comfort to like the stuff that you know. So for example, I always think about like when you're at a job that you hate, but people are too afraid to leave because the comfort of what you know still like satisfies you more than the discomfort of like what's the unknown. So for me, I think about it like when we have a few kids and like being just in that season of fully surrendering so much of my life and my desires to just helping them get through those early years. I think like you always observe these things pre being a mom, and it's like people being like, oh, I have to find myself once my kids got older. Like, people being older and like when they're empty nesters and like you look at the person that you're married to and you're like, who are you? And you have to like rediscover that relationship. You have like ideas of like, yeah, we'll just keep dating like your spouse, all these things. And like, how could anyone ever get lost in motherhood? But like, I think to some degree, it has to become a takeover and you surrender like to be a good mom because that's your job in that season. And I think like I'm learning a lot more about what that entails. And it's not just necessarily sacrificing your body and like your energy in the day to day, your abilities of like what you're able to do and not do, like because you have so many limitations on you while you're growing a baby, etc. Like we have a hot tub. When I was pregnant with Magnolia, we had to just disconnect the hot tub, blow the lines out. Like so many things were just not happening because they're risks and whatever. So there's physical sacrifices like that. Then you have the baby. And if you're nursing, like that's a whole nother thing. That's another sacrifice on your body while your body's trying to heal, while you're mentally at war with yourself, with like you're trying to get back to your pre-baby weight. And and you're not sleeping, you're figuring out life with this baby. And it's just so much. So, anyways, not trying to go down a spiral of like complaining because it gets better. Like I just think about all the time, like hard things, you can't live a cushy life avoiding hard things. You can't, because if you live a cushy life, you're never going to be fully satisfied. You need like strain and refinement to live life fully and like feel life deeply and richly and like experience the true goodness of life. So I am just like, I just remind myself, Anastasia, this is necessary. Okay. And I really think like, just even right now, thinking about having the miscarriage the other month, being in a headspace where we know we want more kids and we want to grow our family. I think back to the Anastasia like, freshly becoming a mom where I was like, "Yo, no way we're not having any more kids. No way." And then I would have to tell myself, "Anastasia, we don't come from a place of pain, like, we don't make decisions from a place of pain. It must get better because people have more." And guess what? It does get better. It gets better, and I even had such a challenging year of a daughter who didn't sleep for literally 13, almost 14 months straight. Okay. And then you don't sleep when you're pregnant because you have to pee 5 times a night. Like it's crazy, but you do make it out to the other side. Then you just start thinking about things that you never thought about before, like the age gaps you want between your kids. Like you want them to have built in lifelong friends. And I know that's not always a guarantee. And that's something a lot of people like heavily weigh in when they think about growing their families. They think about their relationships with their siblings. But, I said this a few podcasts ago and in the last one, it really just struck a chord with me when Matt was like, "How did you enjoy that?" Like hanging out with my sister and my brother and just getting like there's 5 of us. Like us getting to enjoy each other's company regardless of us like having different interests, whatever, like we're just so lucky to have each other. And I was gonna say like you can't buy that. Like you can adopt kids, you can buy kids, but like you know what I mean? Like that you can't though, like, you can't buy siblings of just like, I bought you a sibling." Like, no, there's so much sweat equity and, like, yes, p people can adopt children, but to raise children, to, like, raise a family, you can't do that without sacrificing, period, and, like, you just understand it so much more. Last night, Matt and I were watching I watch this, Matt doesn't watch it. I don't know if anybody grew up watching Malcolm in the Middle, and it was the episode where Hal was, like, starting to go crazy about the guy in the muscle car who just flew down their street, and Hal's like, "What do we have to do? Wait until Dewey gets obliterated into a million pieces? Like, that guy must be stopped." Long story short, he ends up stealing the guy's car, and, like, Lois is like, "What has gotten into you?" And they're driving, they realize that this car has, like, crazy horsepower, and they're just driving, they, like, flip into alter egos, and he's like, "We're just gonna keep driving. We're gonna go to Mexico, like, we're gonna live on a little island. We're gonna run away from the kids." He's like, "I'll be Raul." Like, that'll be his, like, code name. He's like, "We'll do it for all the parents." And I'm watching this in a new light, and I'm like, so every parent feels like this. Like, every parent feels like this. It's like, you'd actually never do it, but I think about often, like, it's like you think about it, but you don't do it, obviously, because you don't abandon, like, your children and your family, but I'm like, this is why people just would, like, break. If you don't have the right support, you break and you just run away and you start a new life. You just step into this world of understanding relatability with other parents to such different depths, and when I say, like, not all motherhood is created equal, I wanna do, like, a series on this. Maybe it doesn't even need to be a series, but just realizing what motherhood looks like for other people is so different based on the support that you have, based on if you go to work or not. Like, there's like a level of jealousy I had for a long time, not like ugly jealousy, but just like I would think I'd be such a better mom if I did go to work Monday to Friday and I could kind of mentally check out and use a different useful part of my brain and like feel good about myself that like I did something that matters and like I got to like do things for me. And then I'd go pick up my kid from daycare and then I'd have those like few hours with them. We do bedtime routine and do it all over again. And I think, like, in that way, say your kid is, like, fussy and, like, they're not the easiest after you pick them up from daycare, okay, well, it's only a few hours and then it's bedtime versus when you are with your baby all day, 7 days a week, like, I'm with Magnolia 5 days a week, but it's like then night is it's just still a lot, and I'm like, I would probably be a mom that has more patience and whatever. But then my husband would remind me, "Okay, and then how long into you being at work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, would you be breaking down like, 'I hate this, I wanna be with her,' etcetera?" And that's true too, because you always want what you don't have. And my mother-in-law had even said this, like, she's like, I never experienced like being like, oh my God, I need a break from my kids. She's like, because I always wished I could be home with them and I couldn't because I was working. And it's like, that's what I really think about with motherhood because it's like, you never know, like, you always want what you don't have, and you really never know what the other side will be like unless you're actually in it. And it's not like, I know other moms understand this when I say it's not that you like want to be away from your kids, but I was talking to my sister this morning and I was saying, my entire life I've been an extrovert. My entire life I've been an extrovert. And I am noticing I'm having introvert tendencies. And I think it's because everybody in my family needs me, like your baby needs you round the clock. We have a dog. He needs me. He needs Matt. I have a husband. Like you have to cultivate your marriage, pour into your marriage. Like your husband needs you, your house needs you, all these things. And I'm like, I have never in my life at 34 years old ever yearned for or craved just like absolute solitude and isolation, except for in this season of my life. And it's because you want to just for one like chunk of time, like one moment in time, you just want to break. And you don't want to feel like the noise of like, okay, I have downtime. I should be getting ahead on this and I should work on this and I should really start this laundry and the dishwasher needs to be unloaded and the dishes are overwhelmed and I really got to vacuum because there's dog treats all over. And what a blessing, right? I'm not discrediting the blessing that it is because that's what I try to tell myself. Like when I start to be like, oh my God, my life is the same every day. I'm like, Anastasia, you're not living in Providence anymore in your Providence apartment. Like you live in a beautiful house, even though we're like always so quick to be like, our house is way too small for us. We live in a house. We have a yard. We can go outside and play. I'm like, what would my life have been like if I had a baby in my apartment in Providence? And like, and you know what? People who live in the city who have an apartment, don't have a yard, whatever, they make it work. They figure it out. And the thing is, it's about just like remembering where you're at, where you came from, and using that as something that roots you in gratitude. Because it's very easy in the heart of this season to feel like if I just had this or if just this was different, whatever. But I will say this is what like I'm also, what I was thinking about for the past few days is like this is the role that social media plays. We don't know people's backgrounds, but you see so much without knowing full context, and it really does distort your version of reality, and you have to work harder to pull yourself back into your own life and, like, root yourself in gratitude of what you do have, and, like, I just started this series, Romanticizing Your Own Life. It really is, like I was, like, hiking my dog the other day, it was a grandma day, Susan had Magnolia, and I just went on an extra long walk, and I'm like, sometimes walking the dog, like, hiking the dog feels like, "Okay, I just gotta get this checked off on my list, and then I can start my day," and I'm like, or I can spend this time and, like, really lean in, go do a super long walk, get my endorphins up, and remember, like, I get to do this. Like, I have the ability to do this. I'm not lugging 50 pounds right now because, when we hike with Magnolia, it's a whole extra load. I'm like, I'm not driving an hour outside of where I live just to be able to get to greenery. There's so much beauty in, like, the slowing down and being mindful and being aware of where you're at. There's a saying by TD Jakes, it's, start where you are with what you have, because what you have is enough. And so many times in life, it's like, well, motherhood would just be easier if I had this, or like my life would be easier if I had this job, or like if we just lived here, like we do this all the time, Matt and I, like, oh, if we just lived closer to the beach, or oh, if we had a mountain house, or oh, all blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I almost need to catch myself in those moments. It's okay to like think about what different variables could simplify your life. Like, dude, ever s- off topic, ever since we got a 2-in-1 washer and dryer, I'm telling you, if we're ever lucky enough to build a house, my laundry room, first of all, I like laundry on every floor or like laundry in like every wing of the house. And I want like 2-in-1 units. So you just go, you throw in 2 loads of laundry. Right now I'm finding, I've said this before, I have to do 2 loads of laundry a day to stay on top of the 3 of us, plus the dog, plus like bedding, like towels, etc., laundry. So if I had 2-in-1 units, like that's what I think about in the day-to-day of the season of life I'm in. I'm like, that would be cake. But anyways, I feel like whenever I start to think about like, oh, if I just had this, or like I even think all the time to it. This is the thing that I say to my girlfriends all the time, like, if we just lived closer. I have my whole life just wished one of my best friends lived near me. I say this like maybe I'm like romanticizing it in my head, but I'm like, okay, especially in this season of life, raising little kids, what a dream it would be like meeting one of your friends to go on a walk 3 times a week, start with one time, whatever. Just like you get out and about, you're walking, you already feel better. I'm already doing the hike with the dog. I used to do it with my friend Val. They're in Alabama or Georgia right now. Her husband's in flight school. My best friend Jen used to live in Connecticut. Good meeting point for us was 20 minutes. We did the walks all the time, a certain bike path. She lives an hour away right now. My best friend Lily, we used to meet all the time at a different bike path, walk all the time. She moved to Boston. I'm like, this is my life. This is my life. My friends move away, and it is what it is. But it's like looking for the little luxuries. You know, my friends that live an hour away, we're going to have to pick like the thing that sucks about that is like there is no midpoint. There's no 30-minute midpoint. It's for us to meet somewhere where we can walk. It's still like 50 minutes somewhere. And it's usually like in the city and it's extremely overcrowded and it's just like a headache in itself to go with a baby and whatever. But basically, what I'm saying is I'm really trying to reach for gratitude in this season of my life because I think that's the only thing that's going to get me through. And I know, like, when I think back on other podcasts I did over the past year, that is a theme that I've had to remind myself of every single day. And it's like, what do they say? Like, motivation is like bathing, you know, you have to do it often because you need to like build up motivation in yourself because it goes away. And like, same with gratitude. Like, it's so easy to just let the hard and the same thing of the everyday kind of just clobber you. If you're mindfully pulling for that gratitude, that will keep you afloat. So that's just kind of the real state that I'm in. I was thinking about the past few days too of like that feeling of survival. And I'm like, okay, if that's just what it's going to be like, it's going to be like. And then I was like, but I don't want my children to remember me like that. Like, I don't want to be a mom who, when I look back on the years of my kids being little, like I look at that time in gray because for me, it was purely survival. So it's like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to read some books. I think I'm gonna have to just like I think part of it is like I'll get worn down. Like I will like ease more into motherhood because I'm only a year into motherhood. I think the more years that go on and the more it feels a part of my identity, it's gonna look differently. And it's not like a perfect day every day. You know, we do our best, but that's just something I was really thinking about where I was like, I need to start romanticizing my own life every single day because I don't want to look back on like the 5 years, 6 years, however many years I'm going to be spending growing our family. And it's going to be like the hard years where they're little and they need me so much. And like, it's just hard because it's not me doing whatever I want to do every year. And they're so dependent on me and my husband for like every little thing. I'm like, how do I wanna remember that season of my life? I don't wanna remember it as purely survival mode. I just don't. So, I'm gonna do my best, like, moving forward to just reach for resources that will help me not feel like that, and I will say, like, a really good place to start is the communication, like, keeping this channel open, and then another thing I will say is, like, keeping the communication open with Matt, like, that is the person or, like, you know, your significant other, your spouse, your husband. I am, like, remembering that I'm building with him, and it's both of our first time going through this. It's like no matter how hard conversations get, at the other side of any conversations we've ever had, like in the past year and a half, it's always been so much better on the other side because we remember like we're both just doing our best trying to get through it. And we both want the other person to feel supported, and we both want the other person to feel like they're not drowning and that they can come out on the other side and that they will come out on the other side and that like the way through this will still be victorious. So that's basically all I have to say for you guys today. Thank you so much for always tuning in, just sitting with me, listening through the motherhood saga. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you